All right, let's look at this problem that you have requested to see how to do this on a calculator. And you can see I've got my calculator here on the screen. So what do we got to deal with here? Let's look at the problem itself, and let me circle a couple things that I think are important. What you're going to be doing is basically taking this equation right here that I'm underlining, and I'm going to put this into an equation. I'm going to break this one up into two equations. And that's what they're referring to when they get down to this step. They've got y equal 3 log of 3 minus x, and y equals 1 minus x. And then, and I'm going to get rid of my annotations here so I can scroll down. And then we're going to be putting them into, and let me put some annotations in again. Into y1 and y2 in your calculator. Okay, now we're ready for me to put it in the calculator. So let me do that. So I turn the calculator on and I go to y equals, and that what I just had there was left over from a previous problem I worked out. And here we go. I'm going to put y1 in first, 3 times, and log is right here, parentheses, 3, and here's the minus sign. Make sure you use the minus sign instead of the negative sign. There's a difference, and you need to know the difference. And in this case, we're using minus and x, parentheses. y2 is 1 minus x. Okay. From here, we're ready to graph this thing and see what we come up with. However, the calculator does have some good things to it, and there's also some bad things. The bad things are centered around how do you look at the graph, what you're trying to create once you put the equations in any of the y1, y2, y3, y4, etc. And you have to be able to see it. Most of the time in these math problems, you can go to Zoom Standard, and that will create a window that you can look at almost all of your equations that you're trying to look at in the viewing window. However, sometimes you can't see it. Now, hopefully in this case, we'll be able to see it. I hit enter, and there's one of the equations graphing, and there's the other. So there's y1 and y2. All right. From here, we're going to see the intersects. Where do these things intersect? So at this point, we hit second, calc, or trace, and the yellow part here is calc on your calculator. And we're looking at intersect. And we hit enter. I hit enter. I don't know why I said we. That's the royal we. I guess I shouldn't use that since you're there and I'm here. But anyway, here we go. I hit enter. And it says first curve. Notice there's 2 intersect points here, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Okay. there's 2 points here. This curve, which is y1, intersects this one at this point and at this point. We need to find both of those. So, what I want to do, and I use these arrows here, the left and right. Notice the left moves along that curve. The right one moves it back. Now, if you need to jump back and forth between curves, you use the up and down arrow. See, I push the up arrow, and it took me to the other curve. I push the down arrow, it takes me back to where I was. When you want to get to this intersect point right here, you want to be as close as possible to this intersect point, because your calculator is smart enough to know that if you're close to this point, that means that's the one you want. If you're close to this point, that's the intersect it's going to give you. So here we go. It's asking for first curve. I want to get as close as I can here. So I'm right there. And I now need to hit enter, so I'm going to shrink back up here so you can see me hit enter. And here is enter. Okay, now it asks for the second curve. I need to jump over to the other curve. Actually, it did it for me. So all I need to do is hit enter. And it says guess. I don't know what that does. I always tell my students, don't worry about the guess, just hit enter. And it cranks it up. And there is the first intersect. It goes to the point that's the intersect, and it also tells us what the intersect is. Negative 0.707145 and 1.071045. So let me go back over here, and what do they have? Who knows? I guess they didn't work it out. So that doesn't matter that much. All right, now we need to get another intersection. So we need this point. We found the one, and it's this right here. That's the x coordinate, that's the y coordinate. Now let's mosey on over to this one. Second, calc. Once again, I'm doing intersect, so I have to go through this step again. Only this time, I want to, and I'm going to enlarge it. And let's get it like this. And let me shrink it down just a tad again. And that'll have to do. I'm going to move it close to the other point, because that's the one I'm after. Oops. Okay, there it is. I'm close to it because I'm almost right on it. I hit enter. First curve. The second curve, it's smart enough to jump over to the other point. If it wouldn't have been, you would have used this arrow or this arrow to get over to the other curve. I hit enter. Guess. Okay. I didn't have to guess. I tell my students not to guess. I don't even know what guess does. I've never used it. Here is the x coordinate, 2.736062. Y is negative 1.736206. So those are the 2 points. You do still have to iron out whether both of these are actually solutions to this problem by substituting into this original equation up here to make sure everything is okay. Like you don't end up with a negative logarithm, but when you do the substitution, let's say it was 4, and it's not, but I'm just using this as an example. And let me annotate here. So let's say I were to take this and substitute for x. Let's say I would have come up with x equal 4. if I would have put a 4 there, 3 minus 4 is -1, and you can't have that. You can't have a logarithm of a negative number. So you have to go in and substitute these values of x back in to make sure that you do end up with that this statement would be true, where this side is going to end up being equal to this side. Okay, I think and I hope I have worked this problem out to your satisfaction. So this will conclude this video.